Hello everyone. Hey, this is Lori Mueller coming to you on Sunday for another Sunday Stampin' Dreams with Lori. And I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator located in Lincoln, Nebraska that loves to share with you my creations that I have designed or whatever I am working on for a particular project, whether it's a blog hop or card swaps or sending things out to someone or even a custom order. So I have a wonderful project. Hey, Neoma. Hi, Barb. That I had been working on. And I decided that I'm going to kind of carry it through into another creation. So it is a fun project that is using some items out of the Sale-A-Bration. So I don't know if you have gotten your catalog, the mini catalog as well as our Sale-A-Bration. We have Sale-A-Bration for 2 months this summer, which is super cool that you get something free for every qualifying order, whether it's a $50 order or a $100 order, or you can mix and match. If you have a $100 order, you can get 2 items that are valued at $50. So I am showcasing a set of dies out of this one that coordinates with a stamp set that's in the mini catalog. Hey, Bernay, how are you? Hi, Barb. And it was my go-to set of tools and stamps that I used to create my little treat package that went with all of the mini catalogs that were mailed out. Hello, Mary Ellen. And I'm hoping everyone has gotten their catalogs by now, the mini catalog. Hi, Shirley. So good to see you. And if you have not gotten your mini catalog and Sale-A-Bration with all the goodies that I include, please let me know. I've been having a little bit of trouble with the post office and having some of them returned for some unknown reason. I don't know why. They couldn't explain it to me. So if you have not gotten yours yet from me, please do a shout out. And I'll make certain to get another one in the mail to you. Otherwise, my catalogs went out to those that have ordered with me during the last full year. So if you haven't placed an order with me and you're looking for a new demonstrator, I would love to help you out. So give me a holler and let me know if you are needing to connect to a demonstrator or a new demonstrator, and I will be right there for you. So I have, and then I kind of mixed in, I sent out a question regarding a watercolor video. It was actually a reel that Stampin' Up had put out, but I'm not getting it to play on my business Facebook page. So I'm going to have to try and find it again and see if I can reshare Hi Linda and have it play, because it was so beautiful. But since I can't see it, maybe you can see it, but I'm going to share how it was done with this card that I'm creating today. So outside of Sale-A-Bration, the weather is wonderful. I hope you are all doing well and that you had a wonderful 4th of July. Today is the 10th. So it seems like, I guess we had 4th of July already discussed. And we have well moved on. I guess I haven't moved as fast as the days have, so it's like I can't keep up. So anyway, hi Sherry, so good to see you. So I think it's time that we start diving into my project, and I'll show you where it originates from and how I kind of transpired with the inspiration that I have been seeing the last probably a good week, that I've kind of molded different bits and pieces of inspiration into one. So, all right, let's plug us around. All right, so where my project starts from is this free set of dies that you can get with Sale-A-Bration with a $100 purchase. And it can be anything you want. If you're low on cardstocks, or you want to get, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, a Stamparatus, anything that builds up to 100, and then you can choose this item for free. Now these dies coordinate with a stamp set that's available in the new July through December mini catalog. It's called the Trees for Sale, and these coordinate together. So you have the dies for a number of the images here, and then even a whole bunch of extras. So the camper is not found in here, nor is the, let's see, some of these bows, and then the trim, you know, if you wanted to kind of trim out your camper. So this is where my original project started, was from that inspiration. And these are the stamp sets, and those are the dies. And there are 24 dies within this set. So for a $100 purchase, that's a great deal. So we're gonna use only the image Trees for Sale out of the stamp set, but we're going to use a number of the dies from the Tree Lot dies. So it's the Tree Lot dies, and we'll set that aside. And I'm going to share with you, oh my gosh, so this was what I had worked on for all of my catalogs. I had die cut these tags that come from the designer tags dies, and I focused mainly on this one. So this is the vellum layer, and then this is my Pacific Point layer. And then I did want to add a little bit of accent with the crinkled ribbon, so I made certain to include this little die when I die cut this piece. And this one already had a hole in there, so it worked out quite well. But I love this set of dies. It's called the Designer Tags dies, and that is the item number for you for ease. But this is what I had put together for my catalog mailing. And it's just a mix of the different trees with like snow accent, Trees for Sale, and then I did these tags that come in this set as well. It's this little sentiment tag right there. So I used a bunch of the dies from both of those sets. Now, I had found these candy canes. These are the minis. And I thought it would be fun because I always forget, you know, chocolate I know is a favorite when it comes to perusing through the new catalogs. But with 100-degree plus temperatures in a lot of states, because my catalogs would be mailing in a variety of states across the whole gamut, that I didn't think chocolate would be a good thing. Plus, if it got delayed somewhere and just melted all over and ruined the catalog, that would just be horrible. So I thought this would be fun to include these little candy canes. And then I attached the tag with glue dots. And this way, it actually lasts longer. You know, when it comes to me and chocolate, a couple bites and I'm done. But here, you know, you're either crunching through it or you actually take time and, you know, savor the mint flavored. But I thought with the trees, you know, and kind of building a tree with the candy canes, I thought, how cute. So that's what I had done. I just tied a couple of them together. I folded up the extra plastic and tied them together with some an old burlap. I took the strands and made fibers and then just used it for a little bow, and that's how it all went together. So super cute. So if you've gotten your catalog, you have gotten one of these little treats with your catalog. But if you have not gotten your catalog, please let me know, and I'll get another one out to you. So, but we're going to focus our card on this design, this tag layout, and then using some watercolor technique. Hi, Jackie. And this is the card that I came up with. Oh, I just love it. So what I had done for my watercolor wash in the background, first I used, I don't know if it's going to show up on here or not, the shimmery white cardstock is what I used for my watercolor wash. And then I just pulled out the colors from my tag, the Poppy Parade, Pacific Point, and Balmy Blue and Pale Papaya. Now I have to take that back. I did not use Pacific Point in here. I only used Balmy Blue, Pale Papaya, and Poppy Parade. I figured that the Pacific Point would really steal away from the whole vision of this card. So I refrained from using the bolder color and just left it with the tag by itself. So, but this is my card. And once I watercolored my background, I did die cut it with the deckled rectangles. And then I've got a layer of the vellum, just, to kind of bring a little, to bring my tag forward, and so it didn't blend in so much with the background. And then I just added on some iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. And I've got a really cool tip on, I don't know if you can see on this tree or not, there's a little bit of shimmer. And this was my, the reason for this is a little faux pas. Hi, Ellen, so good to see you. I had messed up when I was die cutting the snow accent for the trees, and I'll share that with you, but I am fixing it and using it to my advantage. So that's a fun little technique. And then I'll share with you, when I'm doing these tags, I did about 85 of these. I needed a really quick and easy way to get these, whipped out. And my Stamparatus was my best buddy for this. So, so this is what I'm using today for my card share. So we'll get started and set these aside. And I'll bring out my little measurement sheet that I have put together. So this is what colors of cardstock that I used and their measurements, the ink and tools. And then I have accessories, and then additional, the clear and white embossing powder, adhesive sheets, that type of thing. So you can take a snippet of that. But to start with, we are going to do our watercoloring first because I want to set it aside and dry. So what I found to help me today with my spritzing, so that I'm not spraying all over my surface, because I first want to add some water droplets using our Stampin' Mister and the mist tool. And this is the part that I, and a number of people struggle. You want to make certain that this is facing down, but I don't want it like really close. I want to come back from a distance. And I just found this piece of cardboard that had edges to it that worked out really well. And I'm going to give it a good mist so you can kind of see that on the cardboard. I'm going to bring it over here, set that aside, and I'll bring in my wide-tipped water painter. And I do have water in the barrel, but I found that it was easier just to dip it into a little cavity here. Oops, and I meant to leave this open. So I need to first add some ink to my ink pad. So that's the Pale Papaya. And what I'm doing is just squishing my lid onto the ink pad that's inside. And that was Balmy Blue, and this is Poppy Parade. So I'll just line my work surface. And this is a little bode from the Moisture. And I'm going to go ahead and start out with my Balmy Blue. And I'm giving it a nice little, just do something like this. And I'm not being real careful with it. I just want to give it a couple swooshes, and you can go long streams, short strokes, however. And then if you feel like you're not getting enough, you can always add more ink. All right, and I'm gonna go down in here like that. And then as it starts to dry, I can always bring in more ink if I want to add more color. So now I'm going to go to my Poppy Parade, do the same thing with this, and here I am gonna kind of line a little bit, and we'll come in here. And we'll come in this direction. Put some right in there. And if it bleeds, that's fine, no worries. And then I'll come in. And like I said, I'm not being very, precise with my strokes. I'm just adding ink in a watercolor effect. All right, now I'm gonna finish off with my pale papaya in the areas that does not have any color. And we'll just kind of bring in, and it looks like I might have to squish some more ink onto my pale papaya. So you just squish it like that and add more ink. And then kind of dilute it down a little bit. We'll come in here. And then if I feel like I have some strokes or areas that doesn't have any ink, I can always add in some more. So like, I think I'm going to add in a little bit of Balmy Blue over here. And I'm actually going to add in another couple strokes of Balmy Blue right in between there. And then to try and darken what was already added to my sheet the first time, because I want to add a little bit of color. And I'm not so worried about filling in all the white space. I think it's kind of a neat thing just to see the natural watercolor. And we'll add, I'm just going to add colors because I feel like I see a water droplet right there. And add some more right there. And I can even toss in right there. All right. Let's see if I can add a streak. I think we're doing good. Might add some more ink to my lid or my cavity there. And it's super easy. It doesn't take a whole lot of muscle to add the ink to that well. Now, if you didn't have the strength, I know a number of people struggle with arthritis or hand pain. You can always use re-inkers and just dribble your re-inker into this cavity, and that's, a nice solution as well. So you don't have to worry about not having the strength to pinch the ink pad to add ink to that area. So re-inkers are a great resource as well. All right, I think we're done. We'll just leave that here. And how you clean your water brush, just dab it with water, rinse it, and then clean it on your paper towel there. And then you're all done. So I'm going to set that aside before I have a faux pas of water all over my surface. So that wouldn't be anything new for me. And then close that up. And the water that's sitting in there, it's not going to hurt, your ink pad at all, because technically I am flipping this upside down onto here. So eventually it'll all dry in there. It won't actually touch your ink pad. So everything sits upside down and you're good to go. So I'm going to leave this on my paper towel and set it aside to dry, and then we'll come back and die cut it to adhere to our card base. So the next thing that I want to do, which I have done a little bit of prep work. I've already die cut my pale papaya tree and my balmy blue tree, but I wanted to share with you, and I also did die cut this, but I needed a hole. I forgot to add this piece to the top of that die when I ran, because you can run it through at the same time. But since I forgot it, it just lines up perfectly with the edge. And when I die cut the larger tree snow accent, and then we're gonna stamp and die cut that piece as well, then I'll run this through at the same time. So we are gonna be set for that. So to show you my little faux pas when I was die cutting all these snow accents. So we have these, this package of adhesive sheets, and this is designed to use for this kind of intricate, delicate die. So that, you know, because when you're using your snail, you're going to have adhesive, you know, that's visible, stickable, or however you want to reference through all of these holes. You know, liquid glue is not a favorite friend of everyone's, and it can be, you know, clumpy and gooey and, you know, all that other stuff. So you can use these dies to die cut on your cardstock, and by putting a strip of adhesive on the back. So these sheets, when you pull it out, they have a piece of paper on both sides with a really super thin layer of adhesive in the center. And so you just cut your piece however you want it and peel back one of the layers and adhere it to your cardstock, and then you die cut, and once the die cut, you peel back the other layer and then stick it onto your die, onto the solid die cut. But I must not have had enough coffee the day that I was working on my tags, because what I had done is my adhesive sheet was on one side, my plain cardstock was on the other, and what I was doing is die cutting this way, which meant that when I pulled it out of the die, all my adhesive was on the top layer, like this one. This has got all the top layer, and was not going to be very helpful for me to stick it onto here. So I have a bunch of these that are die cut backwards. I'm going to say it backwards because the adhesive is on the front. So I have this many that I had run through. It's like, oh, I was already getting, you know, like, you know, lockjaw on my shoulder running, but I do run a multiple number of dies through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine to help save on the passes. But yeah, so I set them aside, and I thought I'm gonna have to figure out something later to do with them. So what I have decided is I will share with you how I how I fixed my issue. So this one, I'm gonna go ahead and do it again. This time I've made my adhesive strip the same width as my cardstock. So I'm going to die cut one like this, and then I'm going to showcase how I had remedied and recycled, I guess, the die cuts that I'd already messed up on and set aside. Because what we're going to do is add some clear embossing powder to that adhesive, and heat it. So I don't know if my camera is showing the effects, you know, the 3D effect or even any shimmer, but I think it turned out really, it actually looks more like snow in person than just the plain white. You know, it was kind of dull and not very bright, but this has got a little gleam, just like, you know, the first snow on a tree, and then the sun comes out and it starts to melt. So it has that little, you know, pre-melting sheen to it. So anyway, that was the idea that I'm going with. But I'll show you how I was able to utilize this as well. Because normally, you know, it would be like this to stick onto this piece, because it would go directly onto that, and then no embossing on this side. But you could technically still do that, but we're going to go ahead and do it this way, and then I'll show how I emboss. So let's get our machine out. We're going to start die cutting some of these pieces, because I want to get my little die here with the hole so that it matches up with the vellum layer that I've already pre-cut. And we'll do that. And I think that is all the die cutting, because otherwise I've pre-die cut everything just to make certain that I didn't utilize too much of your afternoon. All right, so set that aside. And now I have fixed, I'll put that die away. So I have my hole in there now. So I've got that all fixed, and here is the die with the adhesive on the top side. All right, so we'll go ahead and take this apart, and you know, I'll get the die cut pieces there, put that away. And I didn't bring my little brush, but these came out really, actually these little pieces came out a lot easier with the adhesive on top than they did with the adhesive on the other side. So I think it was just a matter of getting through, but it wasn't that difficult, but they didn't drop out as easily as they did just now. All right, so now we are going to bring in my clear embossing powder, and I'm going to peel away the adhesive, the other piece of paper, the other side, and there we go. So you just kind of, I use my take your pick tool because it's got a nice little point on the end, and you want to make certain you don't touch the adhesive too much, because it'll start, it could pull away and start sticking to your fingers, and then there's no more adhesive any longer. But I'm going to dip this in my clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to try and carefully flip it around and just dip it in there that way. All right, and let's see if I can set this aside. And because my strip of adhesive did not go the full height, because I didn't need a whole lot of adhesive, I'll show you how we're going to add embossing powder to the top and bottom tips. So this one I can use my tweezers and hold, because there's no adhesive on the very tip or on the very bottom. I don't know if you can see that. So we'll set that aside, and we're going to bring in the heat tool. Hi, Wendy, so good to see you. All right, let's see if I can do this without blowing everything else away. And it just starts melting. Like that. Cool beans. All right, so I got that one. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to, because I can do one side without having to hold it with my tweezers. There we go. And then I'll flip it around, because I don't want to touch the embossing powder when it's soft. Now with this you won't see fingerprints, but you will kind of smush it down a little bit. There we go. So I don't know if you can kind of see the snow effect on there now. It looks more like snow, I think. All right, so we've got this one done. And this one I am going to add a little bit of, I'll add my liquid glue, because I know the corners that will be a little bit bigger to take the stream of liquid glue that comes out. And you just need a gentle touch, a gentle, possible squeeze, not too much. And then I'll add it to my tree. Like that. There we got one tree. Give it a little press. All right. Now what I want to do is, I don't know if you can tell that there's no embossing powder on the end here. So I'm going to take my Versamark and flip it upside down and add some Versamark to that end. And then I will dip it into my embossing powder. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. With the tip, the very top tip, and then just dip it into the embossing powder that way. All right, so now put these away. So this was my idea of remedying my mess up. And we'll go like that, and we'll add a little bit of heat down here. Whew. Got a little close to my finger there. And then just kind of come in from the back. And there we go. We have snow. And who wouldn't like a little bit of cool temps in this blast of summer? We're, I think, 97, 98 today. It's crazy. All right, while that is kind of drying, I'm gonna move, got some little powder there. I have my Pacific Point tag with the decorative label portion. It's out of vellum. I just wanted to kind of tone down the Pacific Point a little bit. Now, because you can kind of see, well, you can't kind of, you do see the liquid glue that I'm going to put on this vellum piece. Let's see, I think but then I kind of smudged it around with my finger so it wasn't as obvious. Now that middle part, there we go, and then I planted it down onto the tag. Now with my vellum, because it curled a little bit each time that I took it out of the die, I did have to kind of hold down on the four corners there, which is no big deal, but you can kind of see where that adhesive is, the liquid glue, and you're going to get that with snail or the Stampin' Seal. I thought about doing adhesive sheets, but with that intricate die cutting in there, I wasn't certain that it would help things go quickly. So I just refrained and went with the liquid glue, and it came out perfectly fine. All right, I think this is cooled off enough that I can add this piece to its corresponding pale papaya layer. All right, I'll flip this around sideways because I can see better that way. And like that. Yay. Perfect. All right, now we're gonna add this tree to this one. So I know that I need, it's only gonna go over the side over here. So I just add a little bit of liquid glue over there and press it down. All right, so while that is drying, because we'll add it to this piece here in just a moment, why don't we stamp our sentiment layer? And this was another useful blessing to creating this. I had already designed a layout for adding my tag and stamping the sentiment. And I did that in white. And before I do anything, I want to get my embossing buddy. Oh, and have you noticed the new embossing buddy and tool? Here's the new tray that you can get. It comes with the embossing buddy. It comes with a brush so that, you know, all of the embossing powder that's in here, you have a nice little spout. You just unscrew this and then pour it back into whatever container you are using. And then you have this that will move it all to that area, your nice little brush. And then, best of all, it comes with the tweezers. One of those clamping, so you have to squeeze and then it'll stay clamped. Now this end seems like it's like a bone folder texture, very, very sturdy, and I just love the black. And I did not notice the tweezers were a part of this toolkit right away, but this is available in our new mini catalog. So you're gonna want to make certain you get your hands on. Let's see, I think, yeah, it'll be the Embossing Editions Toolkit. And so here's the item number for you. But, oh, if anything, those tweezers are a blessing. All right, so I already have my template that I was setting my tag into. And then I would ink this end. I'm going to give myself a little bit of support. I inked my sentiment that comes from my Trees for Sale stamp set that's available in the mini catalog. And make certain I don't have any. And then I just pressed it into my template there. Set that aside. And brought in my white embossing powder, so you can just kind of dip it in there. And then that embossing powder helps refrain from any of those white particles sticking in areas that you don't want it to, because once it heats up, that white is really going to show through. So I used, set this aside so I can close it up and clean it later. So I'm going to use my tweezers and heat this up. And now this one is white. And you'll actually see the change. There we go. And I like to give it a little blast from the back side. There we go. Lovely. Okay. Now, once it cools, I'm going to take my hand and wipe all this powder residue so it doesn't, look like it's been sitting around undusted for however long. All right, now let's go ahead and add our trees to our tag. And I just added it like this. I centered it from left to right. There we go. Give that a little bit of a hold. All right, so while that is drying, I am going to look at my, oh, yay. It's a little damp yet, so I could actually give it a little blast from behind to kind of dry up the dampness. because I don't want it to resonate onto the card base, because that dampness, you know, when it's on laying on something, it can kind of bring some moisture to the other layers as well. So when it starts curling, then I just flip it over, and I have my tool on low like that. Let's see. Oh yes, much better. Okay. Now we're going to die cut this with the largest deckled rectangle. And I did cut this piece very close to the same size as my deckled rectangle, because I wanted to make certain that I had, you know, some of these unfinished or unwatercolored areas. Or, all right, let's put this sideways because I don't want the speed bump to be very drastic. And then, there we go. And we'll just run it through. Okay. And then you've got a nice little layer there that if you wanted to, you know, depending on how lopsided it is, maybe you could outline the interior of your card. So that's always kind of fun. But that is our finished look. Oh, I just had a little bit of my gilded leafing, my golded gilded leafing on my plate somewhere. I saw a little piece on there. All right, so let's get this planted onto the card base. All right. And we can just, oh, see, there's more gold gilded leafing. Ah! Didn't realize I had any of that still lingering around. Oh, my goodness. There we go. All right, now we'll add this to the front. I don't know if, while I'm thinking about it, Paper Pumpkin, today is the last day to subscribe or renew your subscription to Paper Pumpkin. So you want to make certain that you check into that. It's going to be a seascape type of design and theme. And then I'm part of a blog hop that was today featuring alternates for the Paper Pumpkin. So you want to go to my blog at www.stampindreams.com and check out the variety of alternates to the June kit. The pick of the crop was the theme for the June. So you want to check that out. And then I have the description for the July kit, and there's a little Paper Pumpkin quiz. So if you're a subscriber, take that quiz, because there are going to be some prizes given out to anyone who fulfill or goes through the quiz. So I still need to do that yet. I haven't done it yet, but yeah, how fun is that? I don't know what the quiz entails, but I am definitely going to get my my 2 cents worth in there. All right, so I'm just to give it to some stability, I'm using the outer parts of my black mini dimensionals. Just use those up because they're just as good too. Set that and here, this is where I'm gonna use the kind of the oils from my finger, and there I removed all the dust. So, and we're gonna bring in our crinkled ribbon, and this measures, let's see, what did I cut it out? About 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches is what I cut, but you can, I'm just gonna cut it into a knot, but if you wanna make it into a bow, you can make it into a bow. So then you're gonna need a little bit more than the 4.5 inches. And I mean, I love to make bows, but when I was making this many tags, I knew I would be really late getting everything out. So, all right, there we go. kind of even things up. And there, that's what we got. All right, so that's our tag. Now I'm going to bring in the vellum layer just to give it a little bit of a tone down on the background so it doesn't steal away. And I'm just going to add my adhesive in this area because that's where my tag is going to rest. And it's not going to be seen through the tag. But then I'll share with you how I kind of helped keep the vellum. Let's see, now it's wanting to slip and slide on me. Is that straight? I think it's straight. My eyeballs are going wacko. All right, now I want to add dimensionals to the back. I love dimensions, so yeah, we're going through a lot of dimensionals today. Let's see, I must be down to these. I didn't bring my, I can use the black ones because I'm using a dark colored cardstock, so it's not going to be as visible as if I were adding these to a white layer of cardstock that you could possibly see through. All right, and get some here in the center. All right, there we go. So all you gardeners, I don't know how many gardeners we have out there. Are you starting to reap the produce that you've planted? I planted radishes and we have tomatoes over at my mother-in-law's place, and I just brought in a huge handful of radishes. Oh my gosh, they were so good. I have not had fresh radishes in forever. Oh, and I forgot, we do need a stamp. I have it here. I just used some scrap, some soft suede, and then the Trees for Sale image. And then there is a die. Well, I know the die is somewhere around here, but it must have fallen off on my workspace. But there's a coordinating die that goes with this set. So it's probably a good thing that I already had it pre-done. And then I'm going to add it with some dimensionals as well, right here on the tag. There we go. Now that finishes the tag. Then to add a little bit of bling, I'm using the iridescent rhinestones. And there's 3 different shapes. So I'm trying to implement a few of each of the shapes. So we'll go with the large, and then here is where I'm planting one of them to kind of hold my vellum down just a little bit. Kind of tricky, huh? And then we're adding a few up here. And yeah, you get a whole bunch of them, of the little ones, like that. And I believe that brings our card to a completion. So here I was a little bit reserved with my ink, not as bold, very light colored. And here I was a little bit more liberal with adding my color. So you have 2 different tones. So when you have this watercolor technique, you're never going to have 2 that look alike. Now this could be identical, but not so much with the background. But I just love this deckled edge. Oh, it just adds such fun and a cool pizzazz to it. So if you're interested in 4 free card kits, just place a $35 order in my online store, and I will send you all of the supplies free of charge. And it'll be mailed to you free as well to make 4 different cards, 2 each of 2 designs. So this would be 1 design, and then it would be another design using this Trees for Sale, as well as the free dies that come with it. So, or that don't come with it, but that coordinate with it. So your 4 cards would be featuring that bundle right there. And for the other things, you know, there's going to be some already pre-die cut. So the majority, anything that comes with the stamp set and the dies, you'll want to purchase. But it's, oh, love, love, love. So, all right, let's see if we can flip, and I'll get my spectacles off. I went to the eye doctor and need new prescriptions, so I've been shopping for eyeglasses. I do not like shopping for eyeglasses. It's kind of like shopping for clothes. I'm not a fan of shopping for clothes either. You know, give me a Stampin' Up catalog and I'm in. Yeah, glasses and clothing, not for me. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the project that I shared with you today, and that you will try your hand at watercoloring and also creating some snow for your trees. If you've already gotten the dies, then you know, try your hand at making the actual snow that goes on those little intricate die cuts. But otherwise, if you have any questions, please make certain to post it here. And if you would share the love and my video with others, I would be very grateful as well. But until then, I want to wish you all a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you for spending part of your afternoon during my Sunday Stampin' Dreams with Lori. And again, my name is Lori Mueller. If you are catching me on the replay, thank you so much for stopping by. But until then, I will see you all next Sunday. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.